Is everyone ready? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. March 19th, 2020 board meeting is now in session. Roll call shows all board members are here. We have excused the Public Works Director, the Chief of Police, the Library Director, the Attorney, and Nathan. Are there any agenda changes? Okay. Number 4 is consent agenda. We have A, March 5th, 2020 regular board meeting minutes, and B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. Are there any questions?
I noticed a lot of lost checks. If you look through that whole checklist, I mean, it's, I don't understand what happened. I mean, and you see fees associated with it. Can you explain that?
Libby sent letters to all of those people that hadn't cashed the checks, and everyone that we've heard from, we reissued the check.
Okay.
Those are from 2018, and
So these are checks that never
They never
reached
were
the
cashed.
destination?
yes,
They
they
just
never were
make an
cashed.
effort.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And we've done this in the past,
Okay,
so,
just wondering.
yes,
And
absolutely.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second?
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. 5, pre-registered citizens to be heard.
No.
There are none. 6, committee reports. A, library board.
We had a special meeting on Tuesday to discuss what was going to happen during the during the coronavirus concern. The library closed at Monday at 6. I was in communication with Ally about that, and then Tuesday we met regarding staffing. What was decided was that the staff would be paid for hours they work either at home or here at the library. There's going to be some cleaning done, some rearranging, summer programs, things like that. So Ally's going to be working that out with the staff to determine what projects, what different programs they can work on. And the library open date, tentatively April 6th, but we all know that may change.
Starting next week, if I may add to it, Ally has come in this week numerous times. We're gonna start to try to accomplish the ADA compliancy in the library by having Public Works assist her with moving some of the shelves now, starting next week as well. She's got a plan that she's happy with, so we're gonna try to get compliancy this next week, starting on it, so.
And I'll be stopping by tomorrow, just so you know, I'll call her ahead of time. She has something she needs me to sign payroll for her
Okay.
today. So, that's all I had.
Okay, B is committee of the whole, which we just completed. And a few things are on the agenda to discuss later. 7, unfinished business from previous meeting. There is none. 8, new business.
Actually, there is on number 7. I just wanted to bring your attention to it. So it's in your packet. The updated and approved grievance procedure language is in your packet. So that was something that we approved last meeting upon changing the language, so that's in your packet as well. I don't have a hard copy, but I know it was in the packet as well.
The highlighted,
Highlighted area,
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
It's been updated from what the suggestion came from the last meeting. Sorry, I didn't budge in there quick.
Any questions? We will move to 8, new business. A, 2020 Arbor Day proclamation. I will not read this to everyone. I'm sure that everyone probably read through it. We are proclaiming the week of April 20th through April 26th as Arbor Week. Do I hear a motion? Do I need a motion? No.
No. This was also laying on your, okay. As of right now, the intention is to continue with this celebration. I told Carl, he asked if we should cancel or consider cancel. I said, let's hold it off on a little bit. It's far enough off where some of this could be gone. And I said, and if not, this might be a good time to get people outside and celebrate this and hopefully get back to normalcy, so.
Well, isn't it too that in order for us to remain a Tree City USA, we need to have this?
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah,
You don't have to have a public event, though. You can have a planting.
just something, yeah.
Correct. So I just want to draw everybody's attention on that as well.
And the lake cleanup is the next day too, so hopefully we can do both.
Any other questions? We'll move to B, subordinate position on lien WDF CDBG loan, loan number 158.
You or me? Okay, that's fine. Also in your packet, very simple, one page here. Essentially, this is part of the WDF loan. What they're doing is they're changing the lien holder from, I believe they had a change in ownership from one person to another in the family, so they had to retitle it and get it updated. So as of 2014, same bank, Community First Loan, 58.5. It's just a reclassification, and they have to do this it's basically housekeeping for the WDF loan. The only thing I question is why there's no, 6 years later, there's no principal basically reduction, and that's not our doing, that's the bank. So this is just a technicality, so we just have to, I believe we have to approve this.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion,
Yep, just a motion to approve the,
the subordinate,
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the
yep, as
subordinate,
stated in the.
as a subordinate position on lien, WDF loan, loan number 158.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Opposed? Motion carried.
They cannot satisfy this lien until it's paid off. That's the whole premise of that, where that's at, okay? So the village is this and that's the lien holder. More clarification in the matter.
C, administration building garage project approval.
Okay, in your packet, this would be a one-page, so we brought this to the board 2 weeks ago. Then it was asked for more information. So what it did, it took some time, but attached to that package now is a blueprint that has the back view, left view, right view, front view of this garage. On the flip side is the aerial, which shows you the inside, shows you the two garage and service doors. Being that anything is north of $5,000 in quotation, I did secure second quotes from Builders First Source out of the Pier, as well as Orrin Peterson and Sons Concrete out of Seymour. The second quote for the builder supply did come in cheaper. However, being in the Pier versus being in New London, I think it's in good taste that we spend the extra $70 if approved and work with a local contractor versus a contractor out of the Pier. And then the concrete quote that I did supply last time was indeed cheaper. All told, this project with totals would equate to $31,944.04. Again, we would have Public Works crew build this facility. We'd realize a $7,500 to $10,000 savings by having Public Works do it. We have time potentially with the delay in the spring baseball season. That's going to delay a lot of our maintenance to the baseball fields. We don't know the certainty of that yet, so we would definitely have time this spring to get this done. Time is kind of the essence. We're getting close to where concrete contractors are looking to potentially finalize their jobs. I guess with your approval, after questioning, I'd like to approve the full project, not to exceed $31,944.04 on this project.
How big is it? I'm
sorry?
sorry.
32 square, Peter. 32 feet square.
90 calls.
All right, so how many vans are there?
There are two vans, and this would then also house the Public Works / administration vehicle, leaving enough room to the back for ample storage for future, for whatever we need. That's why we went and included for future the unit heater installation as well as gas line.
What about secure area for records?
That would be included. That would be hence the heating and cooling. It would be.
Yeah, but I mean, is there an area in there that would be locked up like in the back, like a room or something? for
We've
records?
actually, in the last month, Nathan has led the charge with, we've made ample storage in the vault here for secure storage.
Okay,
That's been reshelved and reorganized, and it's top to bottom, you did a fantastic job on it. So,
So-
primarily, the records are empty in that room down there, in the vault where they belong, so. And then every 7 years, what steps out gets destroyed. Like
7 years
Yeah.
or 10?
Some differ, but primarily,
depends.
Depends on what it is.
primarily
Yeah.
7, yes.
Okay.
Depends on what it is.
Is there floor drainage?
Yes,
Okay.
Is this, the heat that's in this, is this, what type of heat? Is it like a Moline heater? Is this
it's a
like
Modine unit heater.
a Modine heater?
Yeah.
So from the ceiling down?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, very easy and efficient to operate, forced air.
we've had,
Yep.
meat market was, and then the other question I had, love that you're gonna have a Department of Public Works do this, Chris Schultz as lead. So he then is as a Department of Public Works employee while he's on this project, but is his construction company doing anything with this? That
Nothing.
there would
That
be
is the
any
allowance-
crossover?
That is the allowance for his tools, because essentially in order to complete this
Okay.
project, we're gonna have his job trailer on site, which
So
will
there
allow us.
should be any, like, on the vouchers, there shouldn't be anywhere we're reimbursing him more, this
Nothing.
is
This would
is
be a
what we're.
$500 voucher to
Okay.
Chris Schultz's business for the use of any tool that's in that trailer to
Okay.
complete this job, which I guess it's a pretty fair deal.
So when the vouchers come through, they would be from, just so that New London Building and Supply, BG Red Concrete, I mean, anything that's on here is where the vouchers would be coming through.
Correct. Easy Glide, and the reason they went with that is because they did the police doors. We'd be able to match the police doors to a T, same color, same scheme, same windows, same everything. And then the others are allowances, just because a lot of it's gonna be done by manual.
Okay,
When time allows, you don't have to have it done. We wanna get the structure built. A lot of this might carry into the fall, when time allows for the future, for finishing out the project.
What type of exterior?
Vinyl sided.
Will it
We
be-
have a 5-inch that matches the hardy board here, but it's at a third of the cost.
Same color?
Same color, same brown chocolate, same roof line, same everything, same garage doors on the PD.
No brick front?
No brick though.
Okay.
Correct.
and then you're building into the hill, correct?
Correct.
All right.
So that, hence a typical flat slab would not cost near that. That would require a 4-foot frost wall and foundations. That allows us then to put a floor drain in. That floor drain would then protrude out the back. It would be drained into the forest that's directly behind it. So it would run into that watershed. That's where all the water that comes off the rear of the building falls into that watershed. And then it eventually leads to the creek that goes out on Oak Street.
Okay,
So there's a catch basin down there.
so I guess my question is too, so does that change any type of, like the topography back here? So I know that there's like a rain garden out here, does that change anything, water flow? Like,
Nothing.
are we gonna start having water issues in any of the neighboring basements? Cause wasn't it when this building was built, there was some, people had some issues with water
Yes.
in their basements?
Yeah,
And
there's still,
Yeah.
there's still issues people are having with, yeah.
yeah, but I
I just wanna make sure we're not making it
We
worse.
documented that in just the past 2 weeks. That water is not coming from this building. That water is coming from, starting at or near Care Partners and running straight down the hill towards her basement. We
Yeah.
took pictures.
But
of
when
it.
this building was built in 2014 is when the problems started happening with some of the neighbors. So I guess that's where I'm just, and I'm not gonna point fingers, but I'm just saying, I would hate to make that problem worse, so.
With the roof line that you're creating here, you're gonna have minimal runoff. I mean, it'd be no different than a rainstorm.
And there's gutters, can we do rain barrels for the?
There will be gutters, and those will also be in the ground with exits to the rear.
Okay.
That's how it was proposed to be plugged.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the amount of
Not
30,
not to exceed that, yes, sir.
yeah, not to
Okay.
exceed 31,944.04 for the construction of the 32 by 32 by 9 garage project.
I'll second.
Roll call?
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion is carried. D, R-7-20, write-off of outstanding checks.
This goes back to what we discussed before. These were the only 2 checks that, well, Alexander, he's unavailable. I think we contacted 2 people that are associated with his committee when he rented this. couldn't get a hold of them, and Michael Bunkerman for the $50, so the total of $150. We weren't able to get a hold of anybody.
Move to approve R-7-20.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. E, Fire Commission appointment. We are actually replacing someone that resigned, and I am recommending Tom Banker. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Have you asked him?
Yes.
Who resigned?
Jamie Mullock.
Jamie Mullock.
Okay.
Oh,
for
He
work
works
reason.
out of town all the
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
He can't make the meetings. F, written submissions for public/village board actions taken.
Right back to where you were, Jim. This is the one you were just discussing at the end of,
we wanted to further discuss it, and come up with a plan.
committee of the whole.
Okay.
Or do you want to move forward? You want further discussion now, or do you want to take it up again?
Table it later. I don't think when I ask you the question of would this have been adequate, the answer is no, and I don't think it, you have to think of different situations. A complaint regarding a service versus a concern that you want to share with the board, two separate animals.
Well, I guess, I would want to say this, is that I think that providing a way to electronically submit statements to the board solves two things. One is that it opens up another avenue for the village residents to communicate their thoughts about how the community is run and the things that they feel are important to the entire board. And it moves us forward with the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that, because from my opinion, this is a foregone way to get there's no way to get around this at some point, because this is the way that the world works. It works through electronic communication, and you can send everybody individually an email, but that's not how you communicate with a body, right? That's not how, if I had, even when I had an issue with the assessment, that's not how I would communicate with the body, and I'm a fairly technical individual. It wouldn't even occur to me to send everybody an email unless it was just a rant. But, and I would expect that something that I wrote and sent to everybody would carry a limited weight versus something that was officially submitted, that had some documented procedure for how it was placed in front of the governing body. So I think eventually it'll have to go that way, because that is the way of the world. I think in times like right now where nobody wants to get together, it's a great way to react. But I'm just trying to open it up so that way other people have a way to communicate their beliefs to this entire body.
So outside of complaints that would be handled through administrative offices, if I had to bring something up, not a complaint, but something I wanted to inform the board about, how would I approach that? How would you do that? Would I send an email?
Well, currently, if you want to inform the whole board, you have to come and sit through the board meeting. And do your
Right,
5
but
minutes.
we're going back to what we
But
said before,
what I'm
people
saying-
can't make it.
Yes, what I'm saying is, and this is what I discussed with Nathan, is if you, what used to exist, and when I spoke to Nathan, he informed me that we used to do this. It used to be something that was on the website, that people could submit something. It wasn't, and I'm stretching from my interpretation, it wasn't quite this formal, where it was documented and said, okay, once they submit it, then this is how it's dealt with. All I'm trying to do is get it set back up and then document, this is how it's going to be provided. So, do I think it would be overly utilized? Probably not. Probably as much as what we see people here, or maybe slightly more than what we see people sit in board meetings. But most of the time when someone comes and they have their 5 minutes to speak, it's because they have an opinion about something that's in front of the board, right? And it may be they're complaining, it may be that they're in favor of it. And we've seen that on both sides, where people will say, yeah, let's do this, and no, let's not do that. This just gives them one more avenue, if they're unable or unwilling or reluctant to do the 5 minutes in front of the board.
How would we get this out to people?
On the website.
On the website and in the voice. And when I spoke to Nathan, it wasn't a long conversation. I would say it was about 7 minutes. I said, well, it would be nice if the submission process was, most websites have this. My treadmill broke, and I went onto their website and they said, if you have any comments for our business, please feel free to do this. Put your name, put your phone number, put your contact information, and write a statement and submit it.
I thought we had that already.
Nobody knows that we do if we do,
We have-
including me.
It was excluded, it was taken off of the
taken off.
webpage.
Oh, we did take it
Probably
off
when they
the-
revamped
We took
the
it off of the
web- Correct.
website?
When it was revised
Correct, because
recently.
there's
Oh,
little or
because
no
I always
usage.
thought it was on there.
Little or no utilization. Now, there's also, and I gotta do some digging on it, but there's also other, and it might not solve a problem for similar constituents in the village here, with an older population, but there are, and I wanna say Polco, Polco, which is an app that is for good governance, where you can, just like that, you register your municipality, and then they drive the information, and whoever your user is, that's how they, so if it goes to the administration team, it's no different than Facebook, Twitter. It's just another means of communication that we can get feedback. So it's another social media channel, but it's directed at good governance and transparency. So if that's an avenue, but it's no different than what we already have.
But it's fee-based.
Correct.
So,
That's the thing.
So
Most of them are.
why can't we just go on our website and create
Yeah.
an app or create something that says, address the board, or,
Yeah.
send your comments to the board, not complaints. They have a different one for complaints, but you want to just bring an awareness to the board.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And we just
then
get one
we get
sheet.
those,
Yeah.
there'll have to be some level of screening though. Again, I'll go back to what I said before. I don't want to sit here in a meeting and go through 5 or 6 people who want to add comment, and then
Yes.
we sit and discuss it.
No, yeah,
That's not what we're here for.
no.
I just think there needs to be a method. I'm with you. I think that there's a need for this, or there's a positive to this. I just think that there needs to be a means of controlling and filtering it so that
Right.
we're not getting too much. And
Right.
my next question is, do we have is there a limit to the number of people who can register to speak, or is it just unended? Because if there was, then we could say, okay, we're gonna take the first 20 comments, or
In
something like
100
that.
words or less.
Right, there needs to be a limit to the number of words, there needs to be some filtration, otherwise we're
Right.
gonna get paragraphs from people of,
Could be a limited
All of their-
character text box.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Almost everything you see online is a limited
I think it's a good
submission.
idea, I just think it needs to be tweaked so that we
Yeah.
are very specific about how we're handling it and what it is. And maybe it's something that we offer and watch how active it is, and if
Yeah.
it doesn't get used, it's like, well,
If it doesn't
We
get used,
tried.
it's like the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
whoever's getting that submission, let's say it is a complaint, I've got grass and there's rats coming out of it. Well, then that's a Department of Public
but
Works.
that's what I'm saying, if someone uses it inappropriately, someone has to be administering that, administrating that thing, so that they can pull that off and say, okay, this is really a complaint, and it needs to go to the proper department head.
But if you have 2 different sections, one is add comment or, address the board, the other one is complaint, we wouldn't see the complaints.
Correct,
We can
unless they
see the
used
other
it
one.
inappropriately.
Right.
Unless they used it inappropriately, in which case then, again, if you have someone doing an admin function of it, they're just pulling those off, moving them to the proper thing and going. I'm not opposed to the process, I just think we need to have it established and planned out properly, so that it's utilized the way we're intending it to be utilized.
Why don't we do some discovery and see what options are for the
Fair enough.
page?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I talked to Nathan, he said, yeah, you could put something on, like what was there before, and then put something out in the Village Voice and say, if you would like to address the board, this is available, and
Is
then
this
they can go
something
from there.
that the board's gonna have to reply back to them?
No, it's the same as the 5 minutes. We're just
Yeah.
providing an electronic, what I envision is we're just providing an electronic avenue for that 5 minutes that you could stand up and talk.
But
And
there
instead of
might-
it being read, it's just presented to us as part of our
Create an
packet.
agenda item at some point, I mean, depending on what they.
It
tell
could
you, we
potentially,
Create an
yeah.
agenda item, but we
Yeah.
can decide that, I mean, we can all bring up.
Yeah, if
think
you,
it's
if you get,
worth something, bring
if
it
you
to
get
the-
5 comments and they're all on the same thing, when we get to, future items, then we can
We'll
say,
be adding
hey,
it.
it looks like there's a bunch of people who, are on, can we address this in a future meeting? I mean, it's just providing an additional avenue for the village residents to directly address the entire board.
Yeah, I like it, I just think that we need to be very specific on how it's set up, so that it's efficient for what we're trying to get
And
out
I
of it, otherwise
have
it's.
no, I have
not
no,
worth it.
no thoughts it will be aggressively utilized.
All right, so we're gonna move forward.
Yes.
Just gonna do some exploration on it.
Okay.
Okay.
right.
We will now move to G. O-3-20, amend parkland fees.
There is a formal reading in your packet.
And this is exactly what we discussed before,
Exactly. So you
nothing's
go down to
changed.
skip down to number 3 on there, Julie. It tells you exactly what we did. $250 for a 1 and 2 bedroom unit, north of 61 units or more. $300 for a 3 bedroom unit.
So we're looking for a motion, I'll make a motion to approve, is it 0-3-20 or
It's O.
O-3-20? Oh, for ordinance. Ordinance amending chapter 18 subdivision and plating general provisions.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Do you need to take roll on that?
Yeah, let's do a roll.
You
Dan?
probably should, because it's an ordinance change.
Julie?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. H, audio, video recordings of committee and board meetings.
I was asked to put this on the agenda. We've had some committees that have requested not recording videos or not taking video recordings of their meetings. Some are doing it all the time. So at the direction of the ask, I put it on for clarification. We do not have a proclamation, resolution, or ordinance that says we have to do any taping or videotaping of any meetings.
It was a board decision to allow it, I remember that.
Correct, but we do not have a resolution,
No.
Yeah, it's gotta be a
proclamation, or
resolution.
ordinance to make it legally binding.
If
So
I
it's
may
at the
add,
direction of what,
It was a
Correct.
unanimous vote, I remember that, at that board meeting, it just, because I was the one who originally requested it, because there were some elderly, folk that lived just down the street from our house that they don't even live in Hortonville anymore. That said, I wish we could make it to meetings, we used to always be involved in that. And I said, well, I can record them for you, and then in evolving it a little further, it turned into recording the meetings, which they're already audio recorded. This was just a step further to give that awareness to the public, especially if they couldn't make a meeting, to still be involved in our community government, or know what the board was talking about, or committees, because a lot of that's more in-depth talk. That's where it started from, was from my neighbors.
I attended a public safety committee meeting the other night, and I think, and I'm as guilty as anybody else, I think we ventured into gray area.
We did.
And we probably could have been subjected to some real serious issues. So, I don't know, what do other municipalities do?
again, it's whether or not you can stick with the Robert's Rules of Orders and maintain proper order is a big steering category. Clarifying what you just said, I did talk to Bob Sorensen after that meeting to make sure that we were okay. He said we just gotta get it under control. He said exactly, other municipalities, they view it as a courtesy to their constituents. It's in good governance and it's in transparency that that information gets put out to the public.
Right.
I think the bigger question is why this got put on the agenda is because some do, some don't. So either we need to, let's clarify, do we do it for all or we do it for none?
Anytime we are in a committee meeting, all of that information is brought to board meeting. So I don't see the need to,
Not the full discussion. Committee
Well,
of the whole
yeah,
was
but you
Parker
don't-
Heights. Those were committee of the wholes.
I really had an issue with the other night, I really did. And my whole take on this would be, I think the best thing to do in the interim is just go back to taping, if you want, board meetings like this, and not committee or committee of the whole. That's my take.
Well, for one thing, have you clicked on any of them lately?
No,
You might get 0, you might get 1 person, maybe 2. Nothing more.
what do you mean?
Views.
That
You
view
can see how many
is-
people.
But then
view.
there's
So
others
we're
that have
wasting-
hundreds
Oh.
of views, so.
We are wasting an office person's
Time, yeah,
to edit these, put these on
yeah.
for nothing. If we wanna do the village board, I think it's a good idea. Do the village board.
But
That's
nothing
the
else.
main thing.
Yeah.
That's where everything get, like the committee of the
It finalizes
whole.
there.
It got
Yeah.
brought forward, anything that was
Mhm.
voted on, that any resident needs to see is brought to this meeting
I
right
agree.
here.
So back in November, John Fachet from the Press Star sent you an email, and you forwarded this on to us. Hi Dave, Jeannie, board and staff. I have followed Hortonville government since 1997, as well as many neighboring communities. I can honestly say in recent years and months, none have compared to yours in openness. I work a lot of different jobs, odd hours, and own a small business. The ability to tune into a YouTube meeting and easily find everything on your village website is a dream come true for a person like me. Dave, Jeannie, and staff, your responsiveness to questions and information has been wonderful and deserves to be commended.
You know what? He's that only one.
He's the one.
He's the
Okay.
one, but
Because he's a
then
newspaper
when
man.
people run for village office positions too, they use the word transparency pretty fluently.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I feel like, what's the pros and cons? The pros are transparency. I don't understand, if it's because we can't speak freely, then we don't belong speaking that, or we take accountability for what we said.
This isn't my agenda.
I'm just-
This isn't my.
I can't think of a
doing.
con right now, other
I-
than the fact that, and I just, because I have to stew it in my head, I can think of a lot of pros, but I can't think of any cons of being transparent with our community. I feel like we're hiding it.
It's not with the community, but I can think of a negative side to a taped meeting where someone wasn't involved, where you could come back and look at it. So say if you're in a committee meeting and the committee meeting is discussing a reduction in staffing, right? We're not talking about an individual position, we're not talking about compensation, right? So it's not closed session, but we're talking about reduction in staffing, right? And reduction in potential down the road in a reduction in a department or something of that nature, right? That type of information disseminated beyond that meeting. That's a tough meeting, and people are going to have to be able to talk openly about it. And it is open to the public. If someone was very interested and wanted to come sit on it, the announcements are out there. But if they weren't involved enough to come sit there, and if there's nobody there, that might facilitate a more open discussion. You know, I can think, you know, so say if it's the library, or if it's Public Works, or if it's the police department we're talking about somewhere in the future, right? If we're talking 5 years down the road or something, and we're in a subcommittee meeting, you know, then that type of openness might have a detrimental effect.
We had a pretty lengthy meeting on public safety. I think everybody can remember the 3-hour tour we had with regards of whether or not we're
Oh,
gonna hire a
with the police
full-time
department, yes.
officer or not. I'd love to know the views on that one, because that involved our officers directly, but it also, there were neighboring communities watching that. And there's also, and I understand what you're saying, somebody they can come to a meeting, but if somebody works third or second shift, chances are they're not able to come to the meeting.
I understand.
I believe we should be transparent, and there's things that I've likely said in meetings that right now, if I listen to back on YouTube, I cringe. I hate watching myself on YouTube, hate it. But I know that
Then why tape it?
because thank you, because I feel like we need to be transparent. We all put it in our campaign, when we get
Yeah.
asked all these questions with the Press Star, we all put, we need more transparency. Everyone's
What happened the
here.
other night should not have happened.
Shouldn't have, and had
Committee
we not been
meetings, there are
recorded.
minutes of committee meetings. Those are public records.
Yes.
So they have two choices. They can come in here and sit in a public safety meeting and listen, or they can get the minutes of the meeting.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And they're posted.
Yeah,
Well, I think
and they're
that
posted.
there's one other thing though, that I think the forefront, getting the right agenda and having all the topics you're gonna talk about on the agenda and stick to that.
Right.
I think that's, so there is notice out there about the
Okay,
minutes.
so who took meeting minutes the other night? How thorough are they? That's the thing too. When I look through meeting minutes, it is truly just scratches the surface of really the guts of a conversation, and it can also be misread. So it's your personal interpretation of that meeting that you entered for minutes and maybe handed them to Jane, and that's your personal opinion. I believe we should let the public have their own opinion about what was being
You
discussed.
can't transcribe 1 hour and 54
You can't.
minutes.
No,
of
you
a
You
meeting.
can't. I absolutely
You
agree
have
with
a
you. You
book.
can't.
Well,
I
and
can't-
I would argue too, Julie, even if they were sitting here listening, your perception is, whether
Yeah.
it's written or in person, I mean, you could be talking right now and my perception of what you're saying may be totally different than what Peter's
Absolutely.
saying. So to me, you have that perception problem, whether it's written or they watched it on TV. So it's, my opinion is, I mean, if we have the board meetings like this meeting, everything gets flows
Flows
up
through.
to that.
Right.
At the end of the day, this is what it is, and if they are interested, I mean, 99% of the time we have conversation about each of these items anyway, when we're here, even if it was discussed in a previous, I mean, the written submissions we've just had another conversation about it during this that we had in a previous meeting. I don't know that it's
When you approach,
necessary.
yeah, but when you approached me the other night, Jeannie, before our committee or what was it, public safety meeting, you had said, because we're not able to speak freely. That was
No,
How did
basically,
you, because that's how I
that's
interpreted it.
not what I said.
Okay, what did you say?
Now you're putting words in my mouth.
No, I need to understand what you
What I said to
said.
you was, may I quote the library, Pat?
I was gonna bring that up, go ahead.
Okay. I brought this to the library because the library was not being taped. The senior committee meeting was not being taped. And I said, why? Every other meeting is being taped. So I said, what are your feelings? Some of them on that board said the exact same thing Peter said. I don't feel that we would openly discuss this. We need to hash things out. This is what a subcommittee is. You hash things out. Then you bring it to the full board. We bring it to the board and now we give our opinion. We're giving our opinion on this right now. The public's still gonna hear what we have to say. I'm still gonna say the same thing that I said in that committee meeting. I'm gonna bring it to the board. So the only meetings we need to tape would be, because the library declined, said no, absolutely not, right down the line. Every one of them said, no, you will not tape our meeting, you will not post our meeting.
But
Okay,
that's a library
So-
board.
so
you're
that's the
telling me
library.
the library doesn't tape any of their meetings?
No,
None.
you know what, I never thought of it, to be perfectly honest with you. I never thought of it, I've been on the library board since before I was on this, but what happened was Jeannie and David came in right before the meeting and said, brought this up. So it caught, nothing against you too, but kind of caught people off guard. So especially the community appointees to the committees, I think, all of us are pretty used to being taped, but I think it caught the people off guard that are appointed, and they said, we don't want to do it tonight, let's wait for the village board to make a decision. They were very uncomfortable.
The reason we asked for the taping of the library board is because potentially you were going to approve employees getting paid to be at home not doing services to the village. And that was a topic that would come under very much scrutiny had the village or the library board elected to allow part-time employees to be paid while they're not working. That's why I said we need to have that discussion.
So the benefit of recording a meeting, I mean, there's two sides of that coin, I get that.
Correct?
I just feel like to the general public, I know I say things in meetings and I'm certain that people roll their eyes and, oh yeah, there she goes again. But I'd rather they have that opportunity. If they don't want to watch it, it's a one-click watch. Go on there. I used to man that YouTube channel. I've handed everything over to Nathan. The analytics are very interesting. How many people will watch and they watch it for a few minutes, or how many people skip ahead and watch to a certain. So there might be somebody who wants to watch a certain piece of that meeting but doesn't watch the whole thing. I mean, I was listening to Jim. We have boring meetings,
Well-
sit through other, younger generation, much more comfortable with online. I just feel like stopping being transparent on all levels. You've always said, we're all
No, we're
about
not.
transparency.
We're not
So
stopping.
we have one person,
We have,
you're telling me fast forwards and goes back and forth like this. You're talking about these
No,
people.
no, 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 there's other people, if you look, there's videos out there where 40, 50 people have watched it.
Okay,
But
not
you can-
ours. You're
Yes.
talking generically.
No,
But
no,
then why
ours.
do we
Well,
have
then, why
number
do we have
six?
one peg count or one meter count? I don't
Why do we have
understand
number
this.
6 on our agenda? We have committee reports. Pat just did a library board report. We just did a committee of the whole report.
Right,
We are bringing this to the full board right now. Each head of these subcommittees is
Give their
bringing the
reports.
report. You
Right.
report on public safety, and et cetera, et cetera. We are still bringing these reports to the public. We're repeating ourselves then. No, I say we only tape this village board meeting.
Then
Do-
let's take it
do we
another
need to
step back,
develop
executive committee, that you've said you're gonna update the full board after an executive committee meeting. So does that mean that if the executive committee meeting was a full hour, I'm gonna get a 3-minute
More
synopsis
than
of it?
likely, the executive committee would be in closed session
right.
because it's about an employee. Secondly, you are welcome to come to any executive committee meeting. Welcome. You may not speak, you're not on the committee at this time. But we are not excluding any board member from a meeting.
Okay,
The other night, we had our public safety meeting. Peter came and Pat sat in it.
But I did talk out of turn
He did.
too.
And you
With
asked
permission.
to speak,
With
and
permission,
we can allow it.
right.
Absolutely. No one is excluded from a meeting. Every one of these board members that are here tonight can come to any of our subcommittees.
including a closed session executive committee.
Yes.
Okay, I will remember that, but I will also know that every time I read in the Press Star, I like to be transparent to the public.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we're following that.
We-
I
and
just
we
feel
will
like
be
we're taking
Julie-
a
our
step- we're
village
taking a
board.
step
Julie,
backwards.
we're beating a dead horse here. I don't want to spend the rest of the evening trying to get through this. Do we need to develop an ordinance?
Can we
No,
get a
you could-
motion?
you
Can
could
we get a
certainly do
motion?
motion and a vote
We
on
need a
tonight.
motion and a
All right.
vote.
But I think
As
in
to what
fairness
we
to
wanna
all,
do.
I think maybe we should just table this till the next meeting and come up with some kind, or do you want to do it now?
We're going
I
to
would
do it
like,
now.
well, I guess since I'm also on the senior activities committee, that involves a lot of community people. I'm the only board member on that. I don't know how they would feel about being taped.
Are they here? That's
See,
the
that's
other
the
thing
whole
too. Are
thing,
they
yeah.
right here or are they other places?
Well, it's other agencies, and then we
Okay.
have committee members, and I guess, David, to respond to what you said, I guess I take a little offense to bringing up the taping just for that specific meeting because of a potential thing we were gonna do, when I would have reported that, to the board, whatever decision was made with the library board.
I asked
you know-
that in the past though, Pat, when we first decided to do this. And I said, are we going to tape every single meeting in this village? And I was told yes, because I said to Julie, we will not pick and choose.
Yeah, and see, I
We
didn't know anything about
will tape every single meeting then. And I said, why?
And I was
Are we
coming
not
to meetings
taping?
I wasn't
did
part
not.
of
I
to
just,
record.
I said the library board, I said the senior, because those are the only two that were not taped.
Yeah, and I
I
never even
wasn't
thought of
picking
it.
on you.
Yeah, and I guess it was just kind of maybe coincidental the way David worded that, and I just
No.
wanted to address that.
And
It
that's
would have
how
come
we-
up in the board meeting
We
anyway
all
with
can
my
interpret
report.
things differently.
But, I think, I guess I'm speaking for the community members, for the agency members that come from Outagamie County and everywhere else. I don't know how they would feel about being taped.
Right.
Just like the community members at the library board. And I plead whatever, that I didn't think of taping library board all these years. It never has been.
Well,
You know.
exactly,
Sure,
it
minutes.
never has
The
been.
joint finance committee though, that one is, if you look at the views on joint finance, the joint review board, the number of views, I remembered that one and I thought that was really strange that the views on that one was so high. But the joint review board,
Taxes.
it was regarding taxes and it
The
was when we
Parker Heights
created the
one was
TIDs.
high, the one, I went back and watched all the ones back when the Parker Heights
Yeah.
stuff was
Well,
going
yeah,
on. You're-
when there's,
I mean, when there's a substantial, we're trying to find historical stuff from previous ones, that's one thing. But, I mean, I'm with you, I don't think that there's a need, if everything is flowing up to these meetings that we're having now, I think recording these is adequate, and
the
if someone has
highlights,
any questions, they can send
Right.
an email, go through the electronic, or show up to the next board meeting, I don't know.
Parker Heights was
Yeah.
mostly committee of the whole, believe it or not.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
those wouldn't have been recorded for all those neighbors that couldn't make it to the meeting.
Couldn't that be recorded, committee of the whole and village board, we're all sitting here? Is
No,
that, no?
no, I think,
Okay.
committee of the whole is gonna go back to board anyway.
Yep.
So here we go, all these committees are
This is
reporting
a
back to the
repeat.
board. What?
Okay.
It's a repeat.
Yeah, it's a repeat. I'm gonna make a motion so we can move on, that effective this date, any general board meeting for the village of Hortonville be taped. All other subsequent committee meetings, closed session, of course, is not taped, but that would be the only meeting that would be taped.
Peter, could we?
Video recorded or audio, because sometimes committee meetings or other, do you bring an audio recorder to other things?
Not since we
Oh,
got this.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
Peter, could you amend
Well,
that
but you wouldn't have
to
that.
include emergency board meetings? Not just general, emergency also?
And emergency, yeah. So, did you get that down, Jane?
But Jane,
Yeah.
you just said, no, so that, since we got the video system, you don't do audio.
No.
Would you have done audio on committee of a whole this evening? Normally, if the video system wasn't up.
No.
Okay,
So we're talking about two different ways, video and audio?
I'm talking video and audio, because you used to bring your audio recorder to
Right.
different meetings, but sometimes it was committee level. It depended on what,
I think it was,
Do-
it's also for taking the minutes.
yeah,
You know, you can go back and read it.
That's all it was for, is for
Yeah.
the clerk treasurer.
any meeting.
Okay.
What?
Just amend it. We're not planning to record at all, any meeting.
Don't,
Other
if you
than-
have video, don't you have, audio pickup?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be audio and video recording of general board meeting and emergency board meeting sessions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
me,
Motion carried.
Jeannie, I'd like to clarify for Pat though too, no offense taken on that. The reason I wanted to bring that forward is because, two reasons. A, of course, they were getting paid, so that would fall on me. I'd be scrutinized for that because we also paid out those employees full benefits upon them losing their rights to have sick time and
But
accrued
that's,
vacation
again,
time.
that's library board. You
I
know, and I don't
agree.
think people understand that the library board functions separately from,
I agree, but it's
So-
still a taxpayer entity.
Yeah.
Right.
but then
that's
you'd
funded by the
refer,
village.
but then you'd refer them to the library board
Correct.
for complaints, right?
Correct. Okay.
That library board does minutes also, correct?
Pardon me?
The library board does their own minutes also, correct?
Yes,
Yeah. So,
I'm the secretary.
yeah.
But they don't
So-
record anything.
Yeah, that's fine, but the minutes are there. so.
that doesn't stop
I think-
anybody
I
though
think it
from
was
coming in and
meant to
recording any meeting, it's a public meeting.
Controversial.
Yeah, you can do
Right.
it.
I,
That's true.
I've seen people with their
That's
phones,
very true.
and they can,
I
so.
think that's what that was intended to be.
yes.
Are we going to
Not-
move
not
on
that-
then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
number 9, report of village officials. A, administrator.
In 100 words or less.
It's an easy one this week. You know, just take, I'll pass them out so we're not touching everybody's stuff.
They say cookies.
Sorry, yeah, the cookies are gonna come back around. They're supposed to come back around.
Nah, I'm not picking a cookie,
Jane, this
sorry.
doesn't go back around.
Thank
So
you.
the way-
Are we
So
skipping
how
I
do
and
we
J
vote
or
on
what?
this? Does this
Are we
all
skipping I and J?
What's I and J?
Does it just?
I don't know what all
Both
the
sides.
There's
problems are.
no.
You're on the bottom.
Oh,
it got moved.
Yeah, it got moved.
Is there a way to-
You amended.
Man.
Oh, yes, yeah, you can replace the battery, if the problem is the battery,
Yeah.
yeah, you could replace it, yeah.
All
I had
right.
a sarcastic remark as soon as you said we were fixing my problems.
So some good news to start off for economic development. We actually have a committal from Dr. Dan Overslake of the Heritage Animal Hospital to build a new facility in the village. He has gone through the process. I do believe he sold his duplex in front of his current facility up front here on Main Street. So we are working to acquire property from the Haywish family. So this would be east of Gilbert's grocery store. The property of the Haywish family is not currently in the TID, so we would have to amend the TID. I did reach out to Ehlers. We know the process for that amendment. So a letter was sent late last week to the Haywish family because of what we're going through right now with all the COVID-19. I'm waiting to see what happens with that, but they are into negotiations with the village to potentially acquire that property. we would amend the TID, and then we'd be able to make that property developable. We also are in discussions with Jesse and Angie Peltzer, who own Creative Child Learning Center. They too would like to build another facility, so potentially we're looking at 2 facilities yet this year that would be added to TID 3, and that would be east of Gilbert's Grocery Store.
Hey, David,
Yes, sir.
who are the Ehlers?
Ealer is our TID,
Okay, that's what it's. Okay.
TID, yeah, they're our TID consulting.
Like Phil Costin, and
Yep.
when he was coming here.
Community development, we had discussed options for our senior activity community center. So Steve and Holly Weisler, who live right over here, we did have the property appraised. So if it becomes an option, the village could acquire the property adjacent to the parking lot. They listed their value at $14,000. And essentially he told me that's what he paid for it at the same time that this building was developed here. So that land is available. He would sell it to the village if that's a attractive land we did so choose to develop, which is on the other side of the parking lot here.
For parking.
Parking and or if the building needed to be placed there. As an option, Peter, we're just looking at all
Okay.
options here.
All right.
Village programming, obviously with COVID-19, everything has been suspended, at least until April 6th as of right now. That it was the mimic at the time of the school district. I believe that's gonna get pushed out to at least May 10th now. Obviously, that's gonna be a fluid number, but that includes all operations and all programming in the village hall as well as Opera House. The rentals in the Opera House has been suspended for the time being as well. That includes everything. There's nothing in that building other than the congregate meal site. They do their to-go meals there. I will pass this around. This is kind of what was asked of me the other night in public safety. This is the administrative prepared policy that we have for village staff. This is very closely mimics what Carl did. Carl also has in the packet, he had his readiness report that he did for Public Works and the Water Department. So we are doing everything in our power to keep ourselves in distance from our employees. Probably the biggest thing that I will tell you is, and like we discussed the other day in public safety, with the election cycle, Jane and Nate will attest to this. It is absolutely tough for Jane and Nate to work from home right now. There's just so much on their plate with absentee balloting this week, and then prepping to get ready for the election. This couldn't have hit at a worse, this probably couldn't have hit at a worse time for Jane and Nate because their hands are tied. So I again told Jane today, I said, when Nathan sticks his head in numerous times like he does, I just shoo the cat away. Tell him to keep the space. You know, we're trying, but it's hard at times, so.
So you're still 3 of you working out of the office there?
Yes.
You cannot isolate any further?
It's hard, Peter. IT driven too. You know, Chris reported that it's doable for her, and Julie Shu is working from home. That's not really an option for us. There's so many things that we need in that office that.
Does anyone in the office have a VPN or an extra license or anything to work from home in the event?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in the event, we wouldn't be able to come in the office for whatever mandate, whatever happens, and I know it's doom and gloom,
Yeah.
but it's possible.
Yeah.
You have a VPN that you can access. Chris was referring to something about with her G drive,
Yes.
and that's what you could access
If
from
I
home as
take
well?
this laptop home, I have everything that I have in the office there on here. We had corporate network set it up.
Wonderful.
The issue is there's
Really what I was
election
concerned about.
statutory deadlines right now, that we have in-person voting coming up, we have these ballots. For me to sit at home, I would be sending Nathan's emails to get I mean, it's very difficult.
But in the
yes,
event,
in the
we
event,
were
could.
mandated that you could not
Yes.
come into work.
Yes.
Do you take that laptop home every evening then?
No, I haven't, but I could.
The bonus is she has an office, you have an office, so
So, yeah, I was
Nathan's
gonna
really
say,
the
sure.
only one
Yeah.
Yeah.
out in the open at this point. So I mean, at my work, everyone that's in a cubicle,
Yeah.
half of them have been sent home to work from home. The other half are alternating cubicles.
Yeah.
I have my own office space. You know, only shared common areas are the bathrooms, which are cleaned
Yeah, I'm
every hour.
talking more like the step up, like if we were mandated and it was a lockdown situation, would you, you know, if you took that home every
We
evening
could
just to be
continue
safe?
on, yes.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, you know, not unfortunately, but her with bills and vouchers is more needed at that time than administrative. You know, you're not proposing new you're maintaining what you have.
Right, and
So-
Nathan is the hands-on guy,
Yeah.
he's the one preparing the vouchers, taking in the payments. If we sent him home, we don't know what he would really do.
And I didn't realize that.
Is there
You know?
anything else that we could be doing,
There's no way he can
not
use
we,
the room here.
you guys to create some physical barrier between yourselves and the office?
Not,
I mean, you're saying because Nathan pops his head in, I mean, put something to block the hallway so he can't go over
Have him
there.
pick up the
I
phone,
mean,
can you guys
yeah.
call each other from?
I mean,
your-
just to,
well, we
just to
can. I
make
mean,
it
we
think.
use our intercom system,
Yeah.
we do a lot more of that. You know, I used to walk over by Chris a lot where I'm using the phone systems to talk. She's got a way, we told Nathan to stay out of the PD, he likes to go there on his lunch break. They're the most susceptible people because they're with public.
Yeah,
So we're doing what we can, we're distancing
Yeah.
ourselves. Ryan St. John and Carl are not to be in the same office anymore, so Public Works. Carl has, and he's got his own report, but he's split his crew. If need be, he's on alternating days. The facilities guys are not to come in the building anymore, they're staying away and doing projects.
yeah, that's,
If it came down to it, I would go work Public Works. I wouldn't go home and work either, I would go work a crew with the guys.
yeah.
Because, you
Well,
know-
I was thinking like you have all the space, like Carl's not
Yep,
in there,
yep.
you know, is there some way to to create an additional physical barrier
We've been
between
doing a
Nathan
lot of
and the rest
hallway
of you?
talking more this week because we're
Yeah,
not worried
but I
about
mean-
the,
but
we're not
what-
worried about the public hearing us.
Katie,
So-
We're just
Right.
talking
Getting
amongst
more
the
clear.
office.
Okay,
Let's circle back around.
You know,
Well-
what this amounts to is, are we panicking? Have you
Yeah.
seen the President of the United States and the Vice President? They're this far apart.
yeah,
So I think we are putting panic into this room that we don't need to at this point. When it comes down to something that could be panic, we can address it at that time.
I think we're prepared for that.
I guess
There-
my question was, do you have the licensing on a computer? And you've answered that question. That was a primary question. And the second primary question is, would you be willing to, not taking work home, but taking the laptop home
Yes,
with
I
you
was
in
going-
the
I was going to
evening?
tonight, and my passwords and all my stuff.
In the
Yes.
event? Okay.
Yes,
That's,
just in case.
Yeah, I
yes.
think
Without
we're covered.
panic.
No, I know, I think we're cool, I think we're covered.
I've been in enough NIMS training to know what panic
Yep,
looks like.
yep.
So, there you go, Dan.
Okay, and then the other thing I had on my list is what, we distributed the readiness plan and then the Triple H brochure that's coming around. That is, the first marketing tool that will be out for the ride share. So, and that's all I have. If there's questions.
No, thank you. I don't even wanna touch it. I mean, we're supposed to be apart from each other, and then we're, I'm like, I don't wanna touch it. You want a cookie, you
Julie.
come over here and get the cookie. I've
Do
worked
you
in
know-
healthcare long enough to know.
Do
I'm
you
not
know
touching
that
it.
there are absolutely 0 new cases of coronavirus in Wuhan, China?
I worked in the school district
I
for
don't
the
care.
last 2 weeks
I
in the
just-
nurse's
South
office.
Korea, too.
Trust me.
In South
I'm gonna get
Korea.
that cookie.
So,
In the nurse's office. So, yeah.
You're so brilliant.
I worked in the nurse's office. Okay,
okay,
Any questions for me?
thank you for doing that. At
No.
least now, you know what, you've got it documented.
We do.
There you go.
It's lovely.
Any questions for Dave?
no.
So was that kind of the sort of a pseudo public safety committee report then too? Sort of, kind of?
What's that?
Well, because it wasn't on committee reports for public safety. But we just kind of covered that report by giving this, okay.
Carl did his report.
Okay.
Carl basically put out a readiness plan, as did the admin team.
Okay, so we should be mindful of
And
that.
the other thing I didn't tell you, and it's on there, is that I talked to Jane. Now with the ballot requests have stopped now, right? Next, or not request, what ended?
Voter registration.
Registration ended,
But now it's in person, they have to come here to register,
starting,
Yeah.
starting today.
okay.
So
So,
that's Nathan and I that does that.
Mhm.
They make appointments though.
yeah,
Right, yes, they
Yeah.
call and make appointments. And Nathan, we decided he's gonna greet him at their car out there
correct,
Yeah.
okay.
with a clipboard.
Because we have discussed the option of doing alternating night or morning and afternoon or
Yeah.
days to see if that would work, and it's
You're still continuing, yeah.
it's just congested. There's a, like I said, the election cycle couldn't have come at a worse time with this virus,
Yeah.
so.
Can I ask if you've heard anything on the elections yet? Nothing, no change?
There was a webinar I stayed yesterday with the governor and elections commission, and pretty much all they did was reiterate the deadlines
Okay.
and the statutes that we have to follow.
Are you changing your staffing plans at all for that day?
For election day?
Mm-hmm.
No, we've had a few cancellations,
Okay,
and at this point, I've talked with the county, and it's up to municipal workers to fill in.
okay.
David, but he doesn't live in the county, you have to be in the county.
Hmm.
They've reiterated that again today, because I was thinking, well, we got David, but, so it might be Libby, well, no, Libby doesn't want to.
She's
It might be
immunocompromised.
Lisa, so, but right now, the election workers has said they'll work,
Okay,
and the chief said she'll work, so.
I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of absentee,
Oh, we're crazy
So
right
I-
now with that.
yeah.
Imagine.
Yes.
so that should help with the traffic.
What's the final date for absentee?
Thank you.
Our final day to mail it is the 2nd of April.
April 2.
So 2 weeks on a Thursday.
So we can still pick them up. You'll wait.
We have to mail it.
You have to mail them
So
Do you
many
want to
writing the
continue
request.
on, Jane, with your report?
Yes, my report,
I'm
I
sorry.
put on there for open book, but now, who knows, it's scheduled for April 29th from 9 to 11. We have to have our training, you and I, and the latest when I looked last time, there's nothing out there for training, that's probably not a priority right now, so that might be up in the air. Board of review will be held on May 18th from 9 to 11. And I just want to give you a little update on our absentee ballots. April elections, going back to 1987, the highest amount has been 77 absentee ballots. We are at 166, and we have 2 weeks to go. So people are requesting absentee ballots, which is great. Libby is helping, because Libby and Nathan and I are the only ones that can get into WisVote and do that.
What percentage of that is people that actually vote? I mean, it's one thing to say it's 77 of the population, but what percentage of the population
Out
is
of those,
that?
well, out
Like-
of those 77 absentee ballots that we mailed, 75 of them voted and returned their ballot. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, like, so
Registered.
77 people, absentee ballot in the highest year that you said. How many people voted in that year? So what percentage?
I think it's about,
Registered voters,
Right,
I don't know that off the top.
It's about-
I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
1100.
We have 1,600 right now registered voters.
Okay.
But
Okay.
at that time, I'm not sure.
I'm just curious. It was a curiosity. I mean, numbers are one thing, percentages
And
of
your numbers
actual is
person.
different.
So essentially, we're at 10% already that are
Of this year,
absentee
yeah.
this year. So-
The November general, the highest ever for absentee ballots was 330. That was in 2016, so I'm sure we're gonna surpass that, which is okay.
I was just curious. It was, I mean,
We do, I'm glad I ordered enough envelopes, because clerks are running out of the inside and the outside envelopes. I'm glad I ordered enough ballots, so we're good with that. But clerks are panicking right now, because they're running out of supplies. So,
as is everyone, for
yes.
everything.
Like I said, Libby has been helping. She's all trained, and she's been entering them and taking care of them. We have limited our in-person absentee voting hours to Thursday, April 2nd from 2 to 4, and Friday, March 3rd from 1 to 5. It used to be, I think it was the full 2 weeks, and we've limited that, and that was okay with the Elections Commission. So we might be crazy busy on those 2 days. I don't know if people will come in. I don't know. But I think that's all I have.
Any questions for Jane? C, Director of Public Works?
Carl did prepare his report. It is in your packet, I believe, or, I'm sorry, it was handed out.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's for your review. The biggest news out of there is full compliance out of the wastewater treatment plant with the CMAR and CMOM. Carl did prepare his coronavirus COVID-19 readiness plan. Essentially, they've also been working with the street maps and Tree City USA, and that going into the April program that's coming up, April 24th, with the Tree Society and the program here in the back gardens. So,
They clean, clean that up.
yeah, and if for you haven't seen back there with all the storm damage last year from the tornado, Public Works has spent the last 2 weeks out there. They're getting ready to reestablish all the trails. They're doing, when it dries out here final, they're gonna do some final grading, and we're gonna have a trail that will actually finally connect from the lower woods to the upper woods, and then it's really cleaned out. It's gonna be really nice. Some of the major rocks that came out of Brookwood are gonna get placed up there now too, so they're gonna start doing some selective landscaping, a little bit of burning. And then the Arbor Day event will be to plant trees. He's working with Will Frass now to find those trees right now, so. Yeah, any questions that I can address? The biggest ticket is the wastewater treatment plant is in full capacity and it's in very, all compliant.
D is police chief, and do you have anything for
She
her?
did not submit a report.
Okay. E, library director,
Ally didn't, I talked to her also today, she said no, she said we're closed, there's nothing going on. So, and she can't plan for the future, she said, so she's sitting idle.
I did wanna mention that Ally's gonna take, the chief inspector training, so she can be an alternate chief for elections.
oh,
Kind of while she's on this downtime, that's a 3-hour training. She's
Good.
willing to do that.
Nice.
good. F is attorney, anything from Bob?
Nothing from Bob today, I spoke to him this morning.
We have no building permit report, and municipal court report, is there any?
Yes, Christine sent me an email, I was gonna put it in the packet, but it didn't get in the packet. So it said, as of today, March 17th, Hortonville Municipal Court will operate extremely minimally. We recommend electronic and phone communication with the court. Every voicemail and email will be returned. If anyone is unable to electronically communicate, letters sent via post office or dropped in our Dropbox are also accepted. Our court is in the process of rescheduling many court cases. We will not officially cancel any court dates at this time. What we will do is contact each individual, adult and juvenile, to discuss and or reschedule. Letters will be mailed to the addresses we have on file. The safety of everyone is our top priority. We will continue to monitor the status of COVID-19 and give updates as they become available.
Are we going to post that on Facebook or anywhere for people to see?
She did not say that to me, we
I
can,
don't know.
why don't you give me that, I'll send an email out to her tomorrow.
You know, that way people aren't guessing what's
Yep.
going on with the
Yep.
court.
Well, actually, they can't get access to the building anyway, they have to utilize the Dropbox, but yeah.
She should be able to report something, absolutely.
Yeah, they'll know what to do. 10 is communications and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
Nothing?
B, Hortonville Fire District News.
Nothing unless Jim's got it.
Nope.
I think they were trying to schedule a meeting, but because they couldn't get hold of Jamie,
Yes.
that's why they haven't, and so now we should be able to get one scheduled.
Okay,
It's gonna be
also,
difficult because there's
yeah.
gonna be more people than.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose.
the other
Yeah.
update I wanted to give the board is, with the collections process for, anytime their services went out in January, they had four billable accidents that went out totaling $1,400. To date, we've received $1,300 of the $1,400, so that system is working. I did send out a second notice to the one party that had a $100 bill on the second collection notice, so if we don't see that in 30 days, then we have the option to go, it was on a county highway, so we can then go and collect it from the county at that point. So that fund is operating, it is functioning. They did not have any collectibles in February, which is good. And then every month, we'll go month to month. So we're set up, and there's an account set up for it at the village, so.
It's
the
not too
village-
time consuming.
Not bad. I produce the bill, and Libby makes essentially, I do the lead work on it, and I turn it off to Libby, and she does it through the civic system. And then we produce the mailings, and we send it out. However, we retain 25% of it as a revenue source for the village.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't
Maybe
super time.
an hour a month,
Okay.
so.
What's the other 75%?
That goes into a fund for the fire department.
Okay, that's what, for equipment?
Correct.
Got it.
C is Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, and there is none. D, Hortonville Civic Association.
We are moving forward. We're still selling the raffle tickets. We'll make a decision on May 1 to proceed with the event. If we cancel the event, we're going to take those ticket purchases and we're going to move those tickets to a new ticket stub for the fall event. So whoever purchased the ticket would have the opportunity to get their $100 back or get another ticket for the fall event. And that drawing would be September 12th. Okay?
Okay. E, Senior Activities Committee.
Our meeting is scheduled for a week from today, but doubtful we'll have that. with everything that's going on. No congregate meals right now, like David mentioned, they are still doing home delivered meals. I think that's about all I have right now.
11 is comments and suggestions from citizens present.
Well, I have several pages of comments here. But your meetings go long enough, I'll hold it.
We're all waiting. Okay, 12, motion to appoint minute taker for closed session. I would like to make a motion to have Shauna take those minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I already have it filled out.
Motion.
I saw you lift it up before, I'm like,
13 is motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
You have to read it.
Oh, go ahead. I so moved anyway.
still gotta read it.
It's a big one this time too.
Go ahead. My computer died.
Oh,
I'll make the motion then.
Please.
To go into closed session under state statute 19.851F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories of disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons except where par B applies, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations.
I'll second that.
roll call. Dan?
Aye.
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 We are now in closed session.
Take two.
Okay, 17. Any actions on matters discussed in closed session?
No.
18, new business. I, cancellation of April 2nd, 2020 village board meeting.
There would be absolutely nothing on the agenda moving forward, and we did that purposely. We put a lot of it into this meeting, not knowing what could potentially happen with the COVID-19, so.
I agree. We
So
need to
there'd
vote.
I'm sorry, would there be nothing on the building or anything?
If we have reports like that, guys, we can get them
We
out to
can-
you in documents.
Okay.
I think we go paper, let's do paper and email transmission for any, as far as, any, we may need to have vouchers put out. If we need vouchers, then we'll get a hold of the couple of you to sign or whatever, but for the most part, anything that we needed, nothing new businesses of essence for April 2.
Okay.
Do we need motion on it?
Yeah. we
Yeah,
need-
probably so.
Yeah, yes.
Just going back, do we need a motion on the camera for going back into open session?
No, once we're in open session, then
Okay.
the camera goes back on.
Yep.
So then the question is too, if we were called in for any type of meeting, I know that, and I'm just trying to avoid getting paid extra is what I'm trying to avoid, because I know that it would be considered a special meeting.
Correct.
But if we're canceling April 2nd, and I understand that, but if we then get pulled back in for a meeting for April 2nd, it would not be considered a special meeting, or would?
Well,
It has-
technically it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I just want to be clear,
Yep,
because I know,
yeah,
okay,
'cause then, yeah, yep, absolutely,
okay.
Has to be published though.
correct.
Yeah.
Typical, standard
Okay,
practice.
then I'll make a motion to cancel the April 2nd village board meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.